Okay, so let's start. Welcome everybody to this webinar, Salesforce Data in Glorious Technicolour. James, if you could go to the next slide.
Sure.
Yes, so the breakdown of this webinar. I'll start with a short introduction, and then one of our consultants, James, is going to show everyone how to create a dynamic progress bar. And he's first going through some slides to explain it to you, and then he's going to do a live configuration just to take you through each step on how to create such a dynamic progress bar. And then at the end we have time for questions if there are any. So, but first about Cloudteam. Cloudteam is founded in 2014 by 3 partners and started focusing mainly on Salesforce and Financial Force ERP. So we're doing the consultancy services, implementation services. And slowly we also started to develop our own apps on the Salesforce platform tied into Financial Force to make it more enhanced for the Dutch market or the European market. We're a Financial Force preferred partner as well as a Salesforce ISV partner and consulting partner. If you can go to the next slide. Yes. So the use case of this webinar. So how many of you have managers that have asked you they want to see visualized how far you are in the process? So by a progress bar that represents a certain percentage. And it doesn't need to be just on the record pages, but also on list views and as well as on reports. So basically, James is going to show you guys how to create such a progress bar in, well, a few easy steps. And basically, you can apply this to everything. So for the people that have joined more of our webinars, you'll notice that this is a bit of a different webinar compared to the webinars we're used to do, which are very focused on a specific product. But now we just want a hands-on webinar that's applicable within the whole Salesforce org, basically. So everyone who's using Salesforce can apply this in some manner. So James, take it away.
Thanks, Iris. Morning, everyone. So thanks for the introduction. And the use case, just run through, is exactly as Iris said. How can a manager see graphically the completeness of their team members' tasks? So I'm just going to flick across into Salesforce and show you an example of how this might look in the traditional kind of Salesforce list view. I've got a custom object called project tasks here, and there's a groupings of work packages. So 1 with 1 task, 2 with a couple of tasks, and a group of 3 with more tasks. This might be a project. Each task has a due date and a percentage of completeness. This is okay. Managers can look at this, but if they have hundreds of tasks to look at, they don't want to go through particularly and look at black and white text. They might want to see a graphical representation of each record. How are things doing? Let's go back to PowerPoint. Firstly, what is a progress bar? So this is taken straight from Google Images, and each one's quite similar, really. Each bar is made up of 2 halves. The first color represents how much work has been done. So in the top left image, that's the green. And the second part is how much work is yet to do, and that's the blank. And all very much the same. Each bar is quite similar in kind of design. And the place at which the color changes, it represents the percentage of completeness. So the first one on the top left is probably around 70% green, 30% clear, therefore 70% complete. So that's the kind of design, that's the kind of high level spec. And we'll move on from there. To build this in Salesforce, we will need some resources, some images here. We're going to take these 2 images for today's demo. A green image for completeness, so for progress, and there's a URL there. If you'd like to use this later on, you're welcome to take this image. It's just made up in PowerPoint, so nothing very fancy, and followed by a grey image, which represents non-progress or work to do. It's important to say actually at this stage, the size of the image doesn't really matter. It can be any size you like within reason, because we're going to stretch or squash the image to suit using the Salesforce formula in a minute.
And James, can I ask
Yes.
a question? Where will you store these images?
Good question. Yeah, we're going to store these in the setup menu under static resources, and I'll show that in a second.